So today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to forge a small leaf keychain and how to add some little brass highlights around these edges just to give it a bit of color. And it's fairly simple. As long as you have some experience, you should be able to complete this with relatively little difficulty. So here we go. So you're going to start by tapering the end of the rod at a fairly sharp taper. Now you only want it tapered down on two sides. You kind of keep the bar straight as you go, because it will try and curve up on you. And next, about half an inch back from where you started your taper, hold it at a 45-degree angle. Give it a good hit right there on the corner of the vise. Turn it 90 degrees. Give it another one. Then you want to start working that down until it gets fairly thin. You want it maybe a little more than 1/8 of an inch. And as it gets thinner, you can start laying the bar down a little more and more each time. Keep it, and then once it cools down, keep it straight, because it'll make it a heck of a lot easier to work with it straight. And continue working the stem down. Now once you get it to this point, you can go ahead and start flattening out the leaf. You want to set it where that corner is standing straight up. When you have that corner standing straight up, you'll end up with a very nice leaf shape. If you don't stand that corner up, it'll end up with more of a square front on it, and it'll be lopsided to one side. Be off to one side. I'm going to continue thinning that down and shaping it. Okay, now I can do this next step while it's fairly cold. I'm going to take a chisel or something similar, run one line down the center of the leaf. Doesn't have to be deep, because this part's just kind of the decoration. And then down either side at about a 45-degree angle. I'm going to put a bunch of veins in there. And you want to do that on both sides. Okay, now when I come back, I'm going to Okay, so when I come back, I'm going to use this cross peen, and I'm going to tap that down into this angle to fold the leaf in on itself. I'm going to start folding it, and I just curve it to the point where it starts to look like a leaf. And then I always take the tip, hang it over the edge there, just kind of flare out the very point on there, just to give it a little bit more shape to it. You want to try and do this without hitting too hard, and you don't want a sharp cross peen because you end up leaving extra marks in there that you don't want in the end. When you cut this leaf off here, depending on how much you've worked down the section underneath it, I usually like to come down about an inch when I cut it off, because I find that gives me enough material that I can still do whatever I want with the stem. Sometimes I have to cut a little bit off, but usually that's pretty close. And then next we'll just start working this down to a really long taper so that we can shape the stem. And it looks like I'm going to have a bit too much on the stem here, so I'm going to end up cutting a bit off as I get closer to the final shape of the taper. Take off about ½ inch off the end of that stem. As this gets thinner thinner and thinner, you get less and less time to work it each time it comes out of the fire. Now that taper's finished off, so now I'm going to start hammering down the corners. Make this octagon, and I'll go from 8 sides to 16. Just keep knocking down the corners until I end up with a round bar again. So now that I got that, all that's left to do is I'm going to take the tail end of this stem, curl it around on itself, and then I'm going to make a big loop to put a keychain in, or hang it on a wall, or just do whatever you want with it. And then I'm going to take a brass brush, brush the leaf to give it some colorful highlights. You need to be careful when you're twisting, because you don't want to end up curling this the wrong direction, having to uncurl it. Sometimes they'll end up cracking on you, and then you got to start all over if you want to keep the stem. Now I always like to bring the stem down into the side a bit. That way it's kind of visible from the front, but not in the way. And just kind of tweak it till you think it looks right. Now while I was hanging on to this, the leaf kind of curled in a bit more from the pressure of the tongs. So I'm going to heat that up just a little bit and uncurl those just a tad. Just a few gentle taps on each side. And I'm going to curl the tip down just a bit, just because. I'm going to wire brush it, get all the nasty scale off there. Nice and clean. I'm going to take a brass brush here. I'm going to just kind of brush it on either side of the leaf. And if it's warm enough, which I don't think it is at the moment, some of this brass will actually melt onto the leaf, giving it a little bit of color to it. It looks like I'm going to have to heat it up again. And now when I brush this on there, a little bit will stay. Give it some nice highlights around the edges. Kind of see it on there if I can get the camera to focus. It's got a bit of a golden tint to those edges. Last thing I've got to do is get a little bit of wax. Just brush that on there to keep it from rusting. Turn that around. There we have it. Finished leaf keychain. There we go. Perfect size for just going on your car keys, your house keys, whatever you want. Even hang it up on the wall.